Miss Noemi, how are you tonight?
Great. I'm doing great.
Awesome, awesome. I'm excited about this. We have had a vibing session before where we just talked and, I just talked about life, talked about a few things that we were dealing with. And I felt like we had a lot in common initially, and that we were pretty cool. Like, you're naturally a quiet person or whatever, so I wasn't sure how it would go when you seem so serious all the time. But I really enjoyed it. And I know you're a private person as well, so I do consider it an honor, extreme honor, that you are choosing to unleash tonight with this topic. And so I think what I want to start with is statistics tonight. And again, guys, like, share, invite other people to come in. Hello, Annette. I love you. I can't wait for us to unleash together. Miss Wanza, you can speak to Noemi. I don't know. Get this part out the way. But I'm going to start with statistics. So I looked up a couple of things, and statistics show that growing up without a father could permanently alter the structure of the brain and produce children who are more aggressive and angry. And children brought up by a single mom only have a higher risk of developing defiant behavior, including drug abuse. It also said daughters of absent fathers are more prone to depression. Another quote is, girls who grew up with their dads who were emotionally or physically absent are more likely to struggle with depression because they fear abandonment and rejection. So they then isolate themselves emotionally. Then I saw something that talked about daddy issue symptoms. And you always laugh when I say that. So daddy issue symptoms, I just wrote down 6 of them. One of them is you end up having issues you have issues implementing boundaries. So you have issues with setting boundaries. You have low self-esteem. You can't trust your partner. You tend to date older men. You're emotionally unavailable, or you prefer sexual relationships opposed to emotional ones. So I just want to take this moment to unleash first, because when God initially gave me this assignment, it wasn't just to give others the platform to be able to release the things that they have overcome and dealt with in life, but it was also for me to do it. And so when you chose this topic to talk about self-love and self-worth, I definitely remembered my low self-esteem moments that I dealt with. Also, ladies, hello, Miss Jackie. Hello, Miss Paula. Hello, Yolanda. Also, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask as we unleash. But I immediately thought of my childhood. That was the point where my self-esteem was the lowest. Some may remember I was the only dark-skinned child, and my only comparison was my sister. My brother came 7 years later, so it really didn't matter because he was a boy. But seeing the response and the reaction of everyone to my light-skinned mother or my light-skinned sister was completely different from how they responded to me with what they interpreted beauty to be. So I remember immediately feeling like it was a bad thing, and I can't remember the family member at the moment, but it was this word, well, not a word, it was just like a little, I felt like it was a little stain. I know they didn't intend for it to be. I promise you, I know that, you know, my family loves me. But the comparison to us was salt and pepper. And to me, I don't like spicy stuff. So I'm immediately like, who likes pepper? You know, it's dark, it's hot, it's, you know, I'm looking at all the negativity of that. And salt, you know, everybody uses salt. You use it constantly. And just as a kid, just thinking of darker is worse. And so I know that my father, who was in the household, was the same complexion as I was. But because we didn't have an emotional attachment, I couldn't relate to him. I couldn't get advice about how I really felt on the inside about what I looked like. People always said that I looked just like my dad. And when I smile or certain features I had was just like him. But there was no connection. And aside from the fact that we share the same DNA, and it wasn't that my dad was a bad guy. Now, I'll put my dad up against any other dude. Everybody love Barack Obama. That's my dad. Like, he is amazing to me. He is the picture perfect guy when you want someone to take care of you through thick and thin. My mom not having to work, pulling 2 and 3 jobs, coming in the house limping because he's in so much pain, but he'll get up early the next day and go make it happen. My dad is always going to be an amazing man to me. Shout out to Anthony Ivey Sr. But I realized later in my adult life that he just repeated what he knew from his dad. And my grandfather, Wesley Ivey Sr., was not an emotional guy. Like, you know, he was very quiet, always stayed to himself. And my dad was just like that. And so, you know, the saying, to know them is to love them. And you really, what I had to understand about him is he was just portraying what he grew up seeing himself. He was in a 2-parent household, so he definitely believed in the family structure, but he was still absent in that manner, and I didn't know how to deal with that. I remember trying to reach out a couple of times, and you know, he didn't brush me off, but he was really short with when I wanted to talk to him about certain things, and so it was just like, it was an uncomfortable type of atmosphere between us, and I hated it, but it was life. But as I grew older, and now it's time to start dating and dealing with other men, I found myself with some of these daddy issue symptoms. I found myself not knowing boundaries when it comes to a young man. If he would, you know, treat me a certain way, I don't know how to tell him, no, I'm better than that. That's not what you do to me, because this is who I am. And I found myself with the low self-esteem. I'm feeling like it takes makeup. It takes, back then it was just eyeliner and lip liner. Right? So I want to mark my lips up and my eyes and stuff because I hate that they're so small. And so I want to make it as dark as possible so they can be more appealing. I'm just coming up with stuff. I found myself that I tend to date older men. Now, my husband, love him to death. Love him to pieces. Sorry, not death. But I always said that my reason for dating older men was because they were more mature. But that's what I know now. I never knew why I wanted an older man then. It was just, I was drawn to them. And then I found myself emotionally unavailable. I'll be honest that my husband and I just had a recent conversation about how I'm not really that touchy-feely or super affectionate type of person. What I've tried to do lately is talk myself into saying, you don't have to be disconnected from him. He really does love you. He really does care about you. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to allow yourself to feel that love. You really deserve it. And when I read all of this stuff, it was just like, man, I never considered myself to have daddy issues because my dad was present. And I have many family members and friends that did not have what I had, but I went about it a different way. I went about it with still trying to fill that void that I was looking for as a child in someone else, in another guy. So I'm unleashing that tonight because I feel that it's not all about the picture perfect family. It's about relationship. It's not that he was there, and because he was there, I should not have made all the mistakes that I made. It's the relationship. And so I will venture to say, and even learning for myself, if you have children in the household, whether you're the custodial parent or not, please build relationship with them, because it affects everything they do when they grow up, when they choose a person to be with, when they raise their children. It all is all rooted to that, and the symptoms begin to show even more. And so that's my unleashing for tonight. So I'm gonna pass it to you, Noemi, and see what you would like to unleash tonight.
All right. I grew up without a father, always wanting a relationship with my father. My mom used to bash his name and be like, no, you don't need your father. You got me. And I didn't want what she wanted. I wanted that relationship, so I tried so much to get that relationship, but he would always push me away. So eventually I seen what my mama seen, and I gave up, because every parent, they want the child to see it for themselves. So I saw it for myself. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to give me advice. He didn't want to show me that he loved me. He even denied me, but he couldn't really deny me because I looked just like him. And then I had daddy issues because he wasn't there. So the low self-esteem and wearing the makeup and fixing myself up and trying to fill that void outside, outside the household, and turning to men, and filling that void, but it will only fill that void for that one moment.
Right.
And then I go home and I'm just still with the daddy issues, still crying, and so that's part of growing up, with the anger and the missing something. I was always missing something. And I thought that every man was going to be that way.
Yeah.
But it turns out they're not all that way.
Right. But before we get to that part, when you said the anger, when you brought up the anger, how would you act out your anger? Because if I'm correct, filling the void was you dealing with other guys. Was that your only method of filling the void?
I would go out with friends and just try to not be around my mom, because she used to always put that negativity to him. But I wanted to see it for myself.
Gotcha.
So I kept trying and calling him and going where he hangs out and stuff, and he just didn't want it.
Right.
The relationship.
So the anger was with his absence or his rejection or both? So how would you act out your anger about this scenario?
I was suicidal at one point. Because I'm the middle child, so I didn't feel loved growing up. My mom never really said I love you. She just, when I said I love you to her, she would say me too. So I would take out that anger on everybody else.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people growing up would be like, you okay? Because they could see it all in my face that I'm not okay.
Yeah.
But
and what did your anger look like? Was it Was it isolating people? Was it being snarky? Was it the fact that you would yell at people all the time? What was your anger? Because you're, like I said, you're pretty quiet, and I'm assuming that's how you grew up, you know, as a quiet young lady. But when people get too close, or was it what sparked the anger? Because you're dealing with the hurt of your father, and these are people that don't know what happened in your household, you know. So I'm walking by, and you know, we're classmates, and I'm trying to get close to you, and you know, I'm just chit chatting or whatever. But how would you show your anger? How would it come out to others?
My tone of voice.
Okay.
And not really wanting to be bothered by others. I stood more to myself.
Yeah.
And not wanting to deal with people's pain.
Right.
And but sometimes I would bully. I was being bullied, so I would be a bully.
Wow.
As well. So that was one of the other ways that I would leash it out.
Yeah. Wow. So did you feel fulfilled with that? Like, did you feel like it relieved some of the anger that you had towards him, or it just became like a way of life of how to do things? Okay. Man, I can remember being angry, being ill about a whole lot of stuff, right? You lash out and you don't really know why, and you feel like I don't have to tell you why, like, just leave me alone, like, I just want to be by myself. And I just had a conversation with my mom about I was talking to her about my oldest son, because he reenacts a whole lot of me at that age. He's different in his own way, but it's so many similarities that I can see, and I try to catch it, because you know, I felt like mine went a little too far before it was caught. And so I was talking to my mom, and I was like, you remember when I just when I wanted my room to be black, when I wanted like everything painted black carpet, all of that kind of stuff, and I just wanted to sit in there with my radio, my TV, my phone, and she was like, yeah, but I didn't let you do it. And I remembered her saying no, but she didn't give me the reason why. And then later, she shared with me her wanting to do the same thing because she was depressed. And so, you know, now that you're a new mom, do you feel like with the anger and everything, like I said, I try to catch it with my son, but clearly this stuff does pass down through generations, because we never really deal with it. We never pull it up from the root. And I try my best in all of my mistakes. I still try my best to show my children that they don't have to live or feel like I did. When it comes to any issues, and that you should express it, you should talk about it immediately when you feel it, opposed to lashing out. I remember one time trying to tell Jai, like, you know, would just punch a punching bag or something if you're so mad or whatever. But it still won't dealing with the root of why he was angry. You know what I mean? I was just trying to give him something to do. In turn, I'm teaching him the wrong way of actually dealing with an emotion, because now we're definitely in a society where men feel it's weak to cry or to deal with their true emotions. So me being a mother of sons, 3 of them, it's like, how, you know, I'm like, God, you're really funny with this, because me being so tough like a dude and emotionless, here I come with raising men that are going to have issues with their emotions. And so I have to relive my past and teach them the exact opposite of how I did it. Don't hold that in. And so my anger, I do remember the lashing out and the staying to myself. But how did you feel like, did it help you with relaxing, or did it help you feel like, yeah, I got it out, like I'm good now, let me go laugh with my friends, because I got that piece of my anger out?
Depending on the day,
Okay.
how I was feeling. Majority of the time, that's how I would be. Lash it out, and then, I would have a friend or two. And we would laugh about it and joke and stuff like that. But I didn't have that many friends growing up because of all that anger.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Yeah. I didn't have a lot of friends in period. Like I didn't start off being angry or short with people. It was just, I was just not that one to fit in. Like it didn't work. I won't funny to them. I didn't dress the right way. I didn't look the right way. And it was just, I just don't fit with anybody. So that kind of helped me to feel like, well, I should be by myself. I should, then I must really be ugly. I must really be all the negativity that I feel about myself, because nobody wants to be. Have you seen the SpongeBob episode? Y'all know I'm a mom. I got a 3-year-old. But SpongeBob episode where they were eating that ice cream or whatever, and it smelled like trash or whatever, so their breath was really stinky. And I'm being serious, it's a real point, but they, SpongeBob is so lovable, and, everybody in the world loves him, and he could not understand, like, when he go to the movies, and he open his mouth to speak to people, and now they're, like, running and screaming and, like, ill. That's how I felt. Like, it was just like, no matter what I say or what I do, people are going the opposite direction. Like, God, what did I do wrong? Or why did you even create me if it's going to be like this? Nobody wants to be around me. So I didn't start off being ill, but I just didn't have friends. And when I became angry, it really didn't change the status, so it didn't matter. And it was just like, I've always been by myself. So I started validating it and justifying it and saying, well, that's just who I am. I don't care about nobody because they don't care about me. So now I'm living this Lone Ranger life. Like, that's really a good life to live. But we learn, we grow, and it took me a long time to rebuild myself. Took a lot of bad relationships, a lot of falls, a lot of scars and bruises to rebuild myself. So how have you started that journey and let me give this quote, because Iyanla said that the path to healing lies in you recognizing how you got stuck, which I said last week, so you can begin to break free from it. So what was that pivotal point for you of, like you said, he's not going to call, he just don't want the relationship. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. So now how do we get to the point where you start using it for your good?
2013.
Okay.
2013 was the year I got saved. Became a Christian, growing up in a Catholic home. And started praying, started going to church, and joined a ministry in school when I was in college. That helped me release some stuff, but I was still holding on to some other stuff.
Yeah.
There was this one, we did a lot of exercises during the ministry. One of the exercises we did was a mirror.
Okay.
And one of the rule was, whatever you do, don't throw it.
Okay.
But we used to look at ourselves in the mirror and see what we would speak what we saw. And all I could see in that mirror was so much anger, so much evilness that I wanted to let go.
Yeah.
And Mama Pennell, that was her name. That's her ministry.
Okay.
One night she told me, she said, the shackles are broken. You just gotta let them go. And I didn't understand that until recently, because she said it, and it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what does she mean? Like, I don't feel this anymore. I don't cry when it comes up. I don't. But it was like so deep down, dug in.
Yeah.
That not until I had like a deep conversation with my husband, or when you started Unleash was when I actually started letting go of some stuff and letting my husband know some more stuff that he didn't know before.
Right.
And I started letting go of the shackles, and I just need to continue to let go to become the person that God wants me to be.
Right. And isn't it hard to do? It's another conversation. God works. He is so amazing to me. God, last night maybe, or the night before last, and I was just telling, I was just diagnosed with lupus like 2 years ago, and I was just telling Mason that it is, I don't know why I do it, and it's not that I choose, well, I do choose it inevitably, but I don't like to. But it's like second nature to me, because he can tell when I'm dealing with something, right? And I'm trying to think my way through it with the layout of the day. I gotta cook, I gotta clean, I gotta deal with the boys, make sure everybody good. But recently, because the seasons have changed, I've been dealing with more flare-ups of lupus, and I had already kind of like gotten it under control because I changed some of my bad habits with what I eat and working out and stuff like that. And so some flare-ups have really been getting to me in the past week, but I've been keeping it to myself. So this triggered when you said telling my husband, because it's so hard to tell somebody else your pain. We hold on to it, and I was telling him that I don't like to do it, but I do it because I feel like nobody wants to be married to the sick person. This is what I've told myself. I hate that I've put him in this position. So I feel like I don't want to let you know every time my chest hurts. I don't want to let you know every time, the pain strikes me and I have to jump, or when my hip starts hurting, or anything else that I feel, or I feel so tired and exhausted, but you come home and you're hungry and you're ready for your food. So I just got to get up, go to the kitchen and make it happen, right? I don't want to let you know that I'm dealing with all of that. Even though you're my protector, even though you will cover me, you've proven that, but I still withhold that information, vital information, where maybe you'll pray with me, maybe you will, say something to make me laugh, to forget all about it, maybe you will rub my feet, like whatever the case is, but I'm holding on to the shackles. Even though they've been released, I'm still holding on to them because I'm comfortable with them. I'm used to them. I can relate. I know that it's a little dent right here, it's a scratch right here, and we've become one. I've become one with my shackles, with my bondage, and it's Juanita Bynum. I was trying to think of her name just today when I was just trying to get poured into. She was talking about how we hold on to struggles. And when you were talking about unleashing, where just the tagline alone makes you know what? Then we start dealing with fear. But I don't want everybody to know my business. I don't know what they're going to do when they, it's like we get the courage, and then the enemy immediately sends something to make us think about other people's feelings, opposed to what we really need in this moment, because we're operating through the brokenness right now, opposed to using the power of God that He's given us, right? So when she was talking about the struggles, and she was saying, if you're still struggling with it, when we come to the altar and we're like, girl, I'm so tired, I can't deal with this no more, I can't take it no more. And she said, I never looked at it before, but she said even Jesus was at a point where He couldn't take it anymore. And that's when He gave up the ghost. That's when He tapped out and gave it over to God. Even Jesus could not deal and said, okay, I'll release it. Father, your will, not mine. Let your will be done. And that was such a huge revelation to me, to say, just give up the ghost. Let it go, because his will is going to get fulfilled no matter what. But even to hold on to it, to hold on to the struggle until something happens where we have to break free from it. And sometimes with that is death, or it's a sickness, or something that has to intervene in order for you to say, okay, God, you got it. So even with you saying, learning how to talk to him and tell him what's going on, did you feel the relief you needed? Did it change for you to say, okay, this works if I open up and start speaking about the things that I'm dealing with?
As far as having someone to listen, yes. As far as having someone to give you feedback, not really.
Okay.
But it does let
keep going.
It does allow me to let go of some stuff, where if I have to cry it out, I can cry it out, for when I say it the next time.
Yeah.
I'll feel like it's not hurting anymore. So it's like I'll relieve some of the pain by just letting it go and letting him know.
Gotcha. Do you feel like you need the feedback?
Sometimes.
So if you're not getting it from him at the moment, because a lot of men are like that, do you still choose to vent up to deal with this, or do you just hold on to it? Like what process do you make sure that you're not continuing to fall back into the same patterns? Like, I need to be poured into, so do you have another alternative if you can't get the feedback from him?
Spiritually, no. But therapy, yes.
Yes, let's deal. She says spiritually no, but therapy, yes. The therapy part, man, therapy works.
Yes, it does.
Therapy works, y'all. I'm telling you, all my sisters and brothers, it works. It is not it's not a myth. It's not something to be embarrassed about, to be afraid of. Therapy is essential, because the mindset, it has so much power over every choice you make, how your mindset is. So you are actively in therapy now?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you deal with in therapy? Just anything, or is there, you just use that moment to release whatever you need to release?
Well, my therapist, we're very interactive. We talk about
Has been established.
Yes.
Okay.
We usually talk about how my day was, and then we'll go into whatever has happened ever since we last spoke.
Okay.
And it's actually been helping. Sunday here at church, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you look happy," you know. So I know not only is it showing on the outside, but I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah.
Because letting go it's a really good release. And knowing that I can go to my therapist and I know it won't go out.
Yes.
Because it's just between me and my therapist.
Right. Now, has that trust been established with, the church? Which is, there's a difference, church and kingdom, I know. But dealing with, your spirituality now, do you still have people that you can vent up to when you can't make a therapy session, possibly?
I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But is that part of me that holds me back from reaching out to someone else?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it would be a venting up.
Right. Right.
To me, it's a little hard.
Okay.
the unknown.
Gotcha. And trust.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So do you feel that's still
I think it's just me right now. I think the wall has to be established to be taken. I could give you a little bit, but if you break that trust, then there's no more. So it's like I have to build up to it.
Okay. So the scripture that I thought about when, let me address this, Miss Demetrius, don't debate no more. I'm telling you, it works. If that's an avenue that you can use, it works. And there's such a stigma in the African American culture about therapy. Therapy is good for you. Yes, ma'am, Miss Cuffy. Absolutely. I used therapy in 2016. I ain't needed no more because I felt like, it was just to help me for that one moment or whatever. But
even a therapist needs a therapist.
Right. I am learning. Yes. I might need to find me another one.
And I've had to tell one of my friends, high school friends, she's embarrassed to really go to a therapist, and I know she needs it. I told her, you need therapy.
Absolutely. Real. It's crippling. It is. Depression is so strong. I thought about the Samaritan woman at the well, and that's in John 4. And so I wanted to read a little bit from the Message version where it says, I started 4. So to get there, he had to pass through Samaria. He came to Sychar, a Samaritan village that bordered the field Jacob had given his son Joseph. Jacob's well was still there. Jesus, worn out by the trip, sat down at the well. It was noon. A woman, a Samaritan, came to draw water. Jesus said, would you give me a drink of water? His disciples had gone to the village to buy food. Stopping right there for a minute. How amazing is it that Jesus was already waiting for her at the well? And that stuck out to me because I'm so glad that God waited for me. This is, if you know the story of the Samaritan woman, where this is a place that Jesus technically should not have been because they're beneath, the Jews. And so came to a place where this is how I looked at it and broke it down for 2020. That he was already waiting for me to bring all of my drama, all of my bitterness, all of my anger, all of my depression. He was already sitting there waiting for me to come to him. And so the next verse says, the Samaritan woman, taken aback, asked, how come you, a Jew, are asking me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink? Jews in those days wouldn't be caught dead talking to Samaritans. What that said to me was dealing with a part of her self-worth. I'm not even worthy for you to be talking to me. Like, I'm not good enough. So it kind of made me think of the guy across the room where you feel like he not going to think that I'm worthy enough to want to talk to me or want to deal with me or make me happy. I'm nobody. So that also brought out her mentality of her self-worth to me. Jesus answered, if you knew the generosity of God and who I am, you would be asking me for a drink, and I would give you fresh living water. missing who God is, right? We go all over the place, like we were talking about, filling the void with so many different people and so many different things that we can think of: clubbing, drinking, smoking, drugs, whatever, to fill up a void that we have gotten stuck in from childhood or from a traumatic situation. And so she is missing that this is somebody that's willing to look past her past, to look past her faults and her mistakes, and still say that if you ask me, I'll be here for you. If you trust me, I'll do this for you. I'll give you a life that you've never imagined. It's amazing to me, Noemi, that the Bible can show, once your mind has been renewed and once you have started letting go of the shackles, I see scripture so different now, and it's like it's so easy to apply to my life, because I've been the Samaritan woman where even when Pastor Mason is not Jesus, y'all, but just go with me. Even when the man that came into my life is saying that I'll give you this, if I could just, because I couldn't see past the people that hurt me. She couldn't see that he was any different from any other man at the well. I can't see beyond the hurt and the tears and the pain that others have caused me. You're no different than they are, like you said with your husband now. And everybody is not the same, but if you could see past all of that and see me for who I am, I'm here to rescue you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help take you to another level. I'm here to show you that life is worth living. So the woman says, sir, you don't even have a bucket to draw with, and the well is deep. To me, that's her still saying, like, you're trying to run game. Like, you here at the well, but you don't even have, you don't even have a bucket to draw with. And that's us still operating out of the hurt. Like, you can't be any different from anybody else, or trying to find something wrong with someone else and trying to find something wrong with the scenario. It don't even have to be a guy. It could be a friend that's genuinely trying to love you past your hurt, and you're like, no, that can't be real. Like, you ain't even got a bucket and you over here at the well. Like, what I can't even think of the lingo that we would use, but don't try and play me. Don't come for me with that. Like, I'm not about the games. And I can remember saying that with Mason, like, I was so bold because I was so tired of guys trying to play me, and I was so tired of get married, get divorced, get married, get divorced. And I was so bold with him, like, you are not going to try and play me. I know you probably just like the way I look, and that's all you're interested in. Like, I mean, to his face. Never had the courage to do that to the ones that were really after that. But to him, I couldn't see the good in him. I couldn't see that his heart was genuine, because I was so scarred and everything was so blurry to me, like the man with the mud on his eyes that was blinded. You're not real. You can't possibly be real, because I still don't feel like I deserve somebody that would genuinely love me and care about me. I'm keeping myself in that position. I'll put it that way, because that's what life has been for me. So why all of a sudden would you come up and want to be with me when no one else does? When everybody else just, I'll get in a relationship, and then the true colors come out about who that person really is, and now I feel worthless, and now I feel worse than who I really was. You're already getting damaged goods. I'm already dealing with a whole lot. And then I come to you and I confide in you and I trust you with the things that I'm dealing with. And then you tear me down even more. You rip me apart. Now I'm shattered. And then you mean to tell me you're going to come to where I am? Like, God will orchestrate it, where I will run into a man that really cares about me, that really don't mind sweeping up the pieces and helping put me back together. It was pretty deep for that part, but I'm just saying that's what it made me think of with the woman at the well. And so she's peeping game, or what she feels like is game. So, but she's still curious. So how are you how am I supposed to get this living water? Are you a better man than our ancestor Jacob, who dug this well and drank from it, he and his sons and livestock, and passed down to us? And Jesus said, everyone who drinks this water will get thirsty again and again. Anyone who drinks the water I give will never thirst, not ever. The water I give will be an artesian spring within, gushing fountains of endless life. Everyone who drinks this water will get thirsty again and again. What did that say to me? And I'm going to let you expound on it too if you want to. What that meant to me is I'm going back and forth, same place. I'm going trying to fill this void, thirsting over and over and over again. I'm not fulfilling myself. It's not enough. Like, something is still missing. I'm going back and forth to the same places, to the same hurt, and I'm blaming other people at the moment because of how they're treating me, but not realizing that this is the pattern that I'm giving them. I'm telling them it's okay. I am trash. I am damaged goods. I am worthless. And so you're free to treat me however you feel, however you see it, because I don't feel like I'm worth anything more than that. And I'm getting teary-eyed. But to come to the same place over and over because I feel so empty, even after someone has shown me love, but I lose it. Even after someone has told me that they care, but it's not really the type of care that I need, and what is missing, to the point where it will drive you crazy of what is wrong with me, what is going on. But Jesus in this moment is saying to her, if you come for me, if you take this water, the living water that I have for you, it will change your entire life. And I never sought God. After all of that, after all of the embarrassment, I knew it was going to happen. All of the embarrassment, all of the frustration, all of the pain, all of the anger, I never sought out God, even though I was raised in church. And I knew of God from certain things. I really did. I saw him operate in so many people. I've seen demons come out of people. I've seen people get delivered from cigarettes and alcohol and all of that. I've seen his works, but I still didn't feel like I was good enough to receive one of those miracles. I still didn't feel like I was worthy enough to get that, because my life was not going in that pattern. But I was walking back and forth to the same well. I never sought him. But when God seeks us, when God is like, I'm here for you, I will be at the place you're looking for everything else, but I'll be there for you in spite of. I'm right here. If you can look past everything that you've dealt with and been through, I'm still here with open arms. And the day I got saved as a child, young child, I got saved like 50 times, y'all. That's the truth, because that's just how we did at church. Like, when you felt like you did something wrong, you get back in the line to get saved again. So I can't even remember my first saved date, but my mind wasn't changed. All of those times that I went to the altar, it was out of seeing one of my friends get up there. It was because, I felt like, Dad, I shouldn't have did that, and so God will forgive me if I get saved again. But nobody taught me it's about changing your actions. It's about change. And how do you change your actions? You change how you think. And so this is what God is enlightening her, that I'm not who you've dealt with. I'm not the same type of dude that you're used to running into. I'm somebody completely different. And I'm offering you something that you've never been offered. And we still, out of the fear, is like, it can't be real. Like, I'm not sure. And therefore we forfeit the blessings, and we forfeit the abundance of joy that's promised to us. And we still feel like the hurt is kind of like it's what we deserve, because I'm used to it. It's what I'm going to just roll with this, because I don't want you to get my hopes up. I don't want you to make me feel vulnerable again, like you really care about me. Does that part of the scripture, do you feel the same way, or have you ever thought about it, or does it make you feel something now?
Similarity. I was going back and forth from man to man, trying to fill that void. And with my husband now, I didn't want to believe that he was that good man, because I was raped by someone that called themselves a preacher, and ended up pregnant, and had to get an abortion. So that right there, when my husband came into the picture, he was a man of God. He prayed. He had parents that went to church. He grew up in the church, and I'm just like, this can't happen again. Right. I can't be with somebody that believes in God and follows the word and then takes advantage of me. But he didn't. He showed me that he was there for the right reasons. Every step of the way, I seen the good in him after 3 years of meeting him. Our relationship didn't start off well. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. I liked him. Then he didn't like me. And it was just on and off. And until we finally were like, there's something there more.
Right.
But I had to get to know him for him and let go of what I was holding on to for so long.
Right. And this is the next point that I wrote down, that we can be so scarred, or the Samaritan woman was so scarred that she was only identified by her past mistakes, right? Don't know her name. But God wasn't even concerned about her problems, but more of her purpose. Not concerned about her baggage, but her breakthrough, something that she needed. Because, I often say we all deserve love, but that's us waiting for Mr. Right or Miss Right. And we're feeling like we'll get it eventually, but it's for some reason a fairy tale. Like it's a thought, because we really don't feel like that's really going to happen. And so I remember with dealing with this, like you were talking about your walls and your trust. And I remember asking God, like, why do I have to have all of these scars? When I would get scars from falling or whooping, my dad would have to whoop me, because my mom, it did not faze me at all. And she talked about this when I had to preach, but like it took him like really getting into it, because I was determined that I wasn't gonna cry, because that's a weakness I felt even as a child. But when I would get the scars, I would like pick at them all the time. I would, they become scabs. And I remember asking, God, with my internal scars, why do I have to wear this? And I was listening to a preacher, and she was saying that you're not authentically the body of Christ until you have scars. Because when he came back to prove who he was, after he had been resurrected, after he had died on the cross, he had to show them scars. I need to prove to you that this really did take place, and I really went through that for you. And you're not authentically the body of Christ until you have scars. There's no way to prove it until you've been through hell and hot water and you come back with the scars. Like, there's no way that I can reach you or reach another person without actually having to go through what I went through. Without the experience, I can't tell you anything about what it feels like to be terrified in a marriage. What it feels. If you have been pregnant before marriage, I can talk to you. If you have been pregnant before you were considered old enough to have a child, I got you right there. If you were married and then you got divorced, I got you right there. And then if you tried it again and it didn't work, I got you right there. If you had scares where your child was about to die, I got you right there. You were about to die, I got you right there. And I often complained about all of the stuff that I was dealing with, but it's like a superpower. It's like, I have overcome and conquered all of these things with the help of the Lord. And instead of operating in the pity and the brokenness of it to feel like, woe is me, I have to learn how to flip it, because my mind has been renewed that, no, that's my superpower. I need to talk to you and help you and pull you through, because he chose me for this. I didn't like it, but I was chosen to walk this path so that I can help somebody else. And it's not fun for it to be on display. It's not fun for it to be public. But God, I'm grateful that you saw the strength in me. I'm grateful that you saw beyond my past. That said, what about boys and their fathers? I'm assuming that's about the statistics. But the original statistics that I read about, it was that the first set of statistics that I read was about boys, where they are, they're the ones that end up being aggressive, because if they're brought up mostly by their mom, then they'll start developing like drug abuse and different behaviors. And then I should have clarified that. And then I went to daughters and girls. Thank you for that question. So I wanna put my cape on, and I wanna fly in my superpowers. That, you know, I'm making light of it, but I'm not. But it's like I'm so tired of it being my jail cell. And I'm so tired of it being a shackle around my foot with the ball and chain. I'm ready for it to be my cape to fly me higher to where I need to be, to where God is calling me to. And the truth is, if I hadn't dealt with a whole lot of stuff, nobody is going to want to hear what I got to say anyway. People love juicy stories anyway, right? They love gossip, and they love to be like, girl, did you know? Oh my God. But it works for you in the end. What they're focused on and what God is focused on is two different things. And I just want to encourage you in this moment to let you know that it took a lot of strength. It took a lot of guts to unleash what you just unleashed. And I pray that the souls that are assigned to you are drawn to you even more because you had the courage to do this, and that others will follow in your footsteps to know that this is what I should do. Instead of holding it in, bottling it up, this is what I should do. And I am definitely proud that you took the time, because you are so quiet and you are so to yourself and in a shell. And I am amazed that you even gave this much. And I'm looking forward to your future of being shackle free. I'm looking forward to your future of being chain free and allowing this to help you grow and move forward in life. Is there anything else that you want to say or share or tell how you feel right now in this moment?
Relieved.
You feel relieved. Good. Tell me right quick why you feel relieved.
Holding on to something for so long that only certain people would know, but letting it out to the world is, you know, feel like it's coming out where I don't feel it.
Yeah.
In me.
Let the healing begin. All right, so what we want to do, thank you again for coming. Y'all give her the hand emojis. I know Jaden about to do the hand clap thing. But I am so proud. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us for Unleash. If you would like to be a part of this movement, we ask that you just send a message. You can email or inbox me to let me know. We'll put you on a calendar. We pray that this touched and helped others. Like and share. I'm trying to remember everything I'm supposed to say at the end, but like and share the Unleash page. Share it with your girlfriend, whether she's ready to unleash it or not. Just let her know, girl, I know your story. This is you, and this is something that I want to help you so we can get through this thing together. All right? We love you. I ain't even mean to do that, but there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. The whole church slogan. Lord, thank you so much for tuning in to Unleash. Have a great night, guys.